It's a good thing they're going to play this one indoors. Never mind a woman scorned. How about the fury left behind by this storm? It's the biggest night of the season here at DePaul. Will Chicago be Gino Auriemma's kind of town? His Huskies visit DePaul next on CPTV. Visit to Chicago resulted in one of the most exciting finishes in recent UConn history. Well, tonight UConn is back in McGrath Arena, where the #1 ranked team in the country, 23-0, will visit the DePaul Blue Demons. And at 10-0 in conference play, UConn's in first place in the Big East, but only one game ahead of Notre Dame, only a game and a half ahead of Georgetown. And a very pleasant good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Picozzi along with Megan Kumo. Throw another log on that fire and stick around for the next 2 hours. Megan, UConn's dominance is beginning to assume mythical proportions. Last Friday marked the second anniversary of the Huskies' last regular season loss.
I mean, it's amazing what this team has accomplished, not only in this streak, but over the last decade. Look at how they have completely dominated, not only in the Big East, but out of conference. They've got 32 Big East championships between regular season and tournament over the last 16 years. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose sight of the fact that and get caught up in the numbers. But this team has redefined the way the game of women's basketball is played and the way it's viewed by the media and the fans.
And the Huskies will seek their 63rd straight win tonight against a very young DePaul team that's been inundated by injuries. If there's any player in the Big East who has a right to be tired, it's Sam Quigley.
My girl, Sam Quigley. She leads this team and the league at 38 minutes a game. How about 40 plus 4 minutes a game in conference because of some overtimes? But you see how she leads her team in scoring and assists. My girl has started 60 straight games. She is a workhorse, and she is a coach on the floor.
And the coaching matchup should be intriguing. UConn's Gino Auriemma is the head coach of the Olympic team. DePaul's Doug Bruno is his assistant. They'll match wits next. Bob Picozzi and Megan Kumo back in Chicago, all set for the 8th meeting between UConn and DePaul. And we'd like to welcome those of you who are watching tonight's game in Chicagoland on Lakeshore Public Television. We're glad to have you, and we hope you enjoy tonight's telecast. Let's check out the starting lineups. First, for visiting UConn, Maya Moore is in the top 10 in the Big East in scoring, rebounds, assists, steals, field goal shooting, three-point shooting, and free throw shooting.
Is that it?
I saw her taking tickets also, by the way. People coming in today. And for DePaul, freshman Catherine Harry is coming off a career-high 18-point performance in a win over Villanova on Saturday. She is the 6th leading rebounder in the Big East. Gino Auriemma has coached UConn to 6 national championships and 10 appearances in the Final Four. And one of his very best friends in the coaching fraternity, Doug Bruno, has coached his DePaul Blue Demons to 7 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. Chatted with Doug right before the game tonight, Meg, and I said, "Are you ready to go?" And he said, "Yes, so is Custer," meaning General Custer. But he has never entered an arena without thinking he was going to win a game in his life, and so he will do his best against a UConn team which obviously has had little or no competition all season long.
Well, and it's, you know, we talked about it off the top of the show. It's the way that UConn has dominated, but they play so hard every possession, night in and night out. That's what's remarkable about this team.
Jumping center, Tina Charles for UConn, Catherine Harry for DePaul. Throwing it up will be Mark Zentz. He's working with Wesley Dean and Laura Mars, and we are underway in Chicago. 32 Kalena Green for the Huskies. Gives to Hayes in the lane. Gets by Quigley and lays it in.
Once again, the left-hander allowed to go to her strong hand.
This is 22 Quigley, who leads DePaul in just about everything. Scoring, assists, steals, three-point field goals. Keisha Hampton, right side jumper. It's a 3.
Nice for Hampton to get on the board with a 3 there, only her 18th of the year.
And she's only shooting 28% from behind the arc.
Not a bad way to start.
Doty, low block Moore, kick out Hayes, wide open 3. Weak side rebound Moore. She's 10th in the league in that department. Back to Doty for three.
How big that is for Caroline Doty. She got on track a little bit in the Louisville game with 11 points. Nice to see Doty knock down her first three and do wonders for her confidence.
And in fact, she was 3 for 3 from three-point range against Louisville. UConn now extending its streak to 281 consecutive games with at least 1 3. Harry to Chester.
So important for DePaul to come down offensively and convert the first 2 possessions. Almost never happens against UConn.
Chester 10th in the league in field goal shooting at 52%. Moore nearly lost it. Still loose on the floor, and she did lose it. And Doty collided, and she looked like she hit her head. She's yet to get up. Now she's getting up, moving up the court slowly. Cross court Quigley. Hampton for another 3. Moore and Chester got tied up on the rebound. Hayes the other way to Doty right side. She looks like she's okay. She's squinting. Evidently she got hit in the eye. Moore knocks down a 3. After the ball in the previous possession got knocked out of Moore's hands, there was a scramble, and Doty collided with at least one other player, and she came up blinking. She evidently,
yeah, she was holding her head, and you couldn't tell if it was her head or her eye.
I think her vision was blurred a little bit. Quickly with the miss, and Green will just let that bounce out of bounds, and it will go back to UConn. There's a look at Doty, who has battled injuries through her early UConn career.
Here it is there.
Looks like she might have caught an inadvertent elbow from Harry.
And then not to mention the entire body on her head.
Doty last year missed the last 22 games with a torn ACL. Moore on the miss. And Hampton deflected the rebound to her teammate Quigley, whose older sister Allie was an all-Big East performer here at DePaul. This is Martin on the left. Low block Chester spins. No good. Rebound pulled down by Moore. And with that rebound, she moves into 10th place on the UConn career rebounding list. She just moved ahead of Svetlana Obrosamova with her 815. The one-handed rebound by Charles.
Nice work inside by the All-American senior center.
Charles continues to inch closer to UConn's all-time rebounding record. She needs 68 more to break Rebecca Lobo's record.
I've been impressed that DePaul's been able to get pretty much whatever shot they've wanted.
Hayes just took it out of the hands of Hampton. Fell very hard. No one falls more in the Big East if they kept that category than Tiffany Hayes. Pass deflected by Harry, and then Doty knocks it off a DePaul player and out of bounds. 21 to shoot for UConn. UConn team flew via charter here yesterday and flew into Midway Airport and managed to get in here despite a huge snowstorm which struck Chicagoland. They got about 7 or 8 inches downtown, up to a foot out by O'Hare Airport in the north suburbs. There's another rebound, Moore, her third. Hayes for 3.
When she's got that kind of time, forget it. Doug Bruno wants to talk about it.
Timeout, DePaul, 3:30 gone, and UConn has already opened up an 8-point lead.
And he's saying, now, come on, you can't leave Tiffany Hayes wide open for a 3. Kid is shooting 32% on the year for the Huskies, but whenever she seems to be open, she seems to knock it down.
Well, Doug Bruno and Gino Auriemma are on opposite benches tonight, but they will be on the same bench for the next 3 years as coaches for USA basketball, culminating with a trip in the Olympics in 2012 in London. And Doug Bruno says it's one of the great honors of his life to be on Gino Auriemma's staff.
I think Gino's done a great job. He's always been a great coach, observing him from the outside in. But when you get to work with him and next to him, as well as work with the great players that I was blessed to work with last summer, it's just a great and exciting opportunity to wear those letters USA.
And on top of that, Megan, they are inseparable as friends. In fact, they had dinner together last night in Chicago when UConn arrived, and both of them are just thrilled to have the chance to work with each other on that Olympic team.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's no greater honor than to represent your country. And you know, they've been friends for years on the recruiting circuit, and they spend a lot of time together. And they will continue to do so and forge their bond.
Quigley for 3, no good. Way up in the air with the rebound is Green, and we'll get our first foul of the night. It will be on DePaul on Keisha Hampton. So we'll head down the other end of the floor. This is only UConn's 3rd visit to this building. And 2 years ago, they escaped with a miracle victory, overcoming a 17-point second-half deficit. Charles at the foul line finds Green, puts it on the floor, drives.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's a reason she walked, and that was because she was bumped.
Brian Urlacher would have been proud of that hit. Looking to inbound, having trouble as Chester now finds Quigley. Now DePaul has numbers. Quigley on the left to Martin. Left it for Chester, but threw it behind him. Hayes will head the other way. UConn has won 23 straight road games. This foul will be before the shot was attempted. So when we come back, it will be UConn ball up by 8 in Chicago. Five of UConn's 9 field goal attempts have been from three-point range. 3 of their 5 field goals, Megan, have come from behind the arc, and in the early going, that's been the difference. UConn's ability to knock them down.
And they've had some pretty wide open looks there. A little bit of a hand in the face for Doty, but Maya Moore wide open, and then Tiffany Hayes the same, and that's what prompted Doug Bruno to call that timeout before and yell at his kids and say, we can't leave them so open.
UConn third in the Big East in three-point shooting percentage, 34.6 entering the game. DePaul dead last at 27.4%. In fact, the Blue Demons are being outscored from the three-point line this year by 105 points entering tonight's game. Green gives to Hayes. Moore down low. Charles. Defensive breakdown out of the timeout for the Blue Demons.
And you got to remember, this is a very young DePaul team, no seniors.
They lost a couple of those seniors to season-ending injuries. China 3 to injury actually going back to last year. Did not enable her to come back for her senior year. And Deirdre Norton tore her ACL season-ending injury in the preseason.
Yeah, that was particularly devastating.
Early in the season, I should say, not preseason. Hayes on the drive, and she'll earn a trip to the free throw line. Hayes quite active here in the early going.
And we talked so much about how they were going to replace Renee Montgomery and the 3 guards that are doing a great job between Gino's on his team, Tiffany Hayes, Caroline Doty, and Lauren Dixon. And I just like how in different games, different kids step up. And they don't force it, you know, they take what comes to them. And right now, Hayes is feeling it, and she's been open, and she's been more aggressive.
Foul was on Harry, her first 3 in the team. Taylor Pikes checks in, replacing Martin. So that makes DePaul bigger. Doug Bruno was telling me this week that because of the injuries we had to our guards, we're forced to play with a bigger lineup. But that means only 3 of the 5 players we have on the floor have guard skills. So you take Martin out, you put in Pikes, and that makes that problem even worse.
Absolutely.
Here's Quigley to Hampton. Harry tries the right side jumper. Rebound batted around, comes to Chester.
The right place at the right time was Felicia Chester.
She's battled injuries throughout her DePaul career. Missed the whole season 3 years ago with a stress fracture. Charles, the foul line jumper. No good. Rebound pulled down by Chester. Her second of the night. And here comes Sam Quigley. Quigley has played 8 games this year. She's played all 40 minutes. In 2 games, she's played 45 minutes.
She did have a minute off in the last 5 games. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, it was the last game. Doug Bruno said, I didn't realize she had that streak going, or I wouldn't have taken her out. Down low. Good footwork by Hampton, but then Charles got a piece of it. But we are going to get the first foul of the evening on UConn. I think it might be on Moore.
And Gino had some words there for Mark Zentz with the call he made.
First one on Moore, and to the free throw line will go Hampton, the sophomore from Philadelphia, who comes from a lineage of basketball in her family. Her dad, John, was on a Division II NCAA championship team at it was known as Cheney State now Cheney University. And her older brother, John Jr., played at Mansfield University.
Some good genes.
Hampton knocks down the free throws. Lauren Dixon is checked in for UConn, number 30. Coming off a career-high 10 rebound performance at 5'4" against Louisville. Hayes draws the double team. 34 Kelly Farris also in for the Huskies. Moore dumps it down low to Charles, who is stripped but fouled. Foul will be called on Chester, her first, and number 4 on the Blue Demons.
What made this play work is the respect you got to give Maya Moore with her ability to shoot. So she puts it on the floor. And then the unselfishness to dish inside of Tina Charles, who was fouled. I mean, this young lady can do so many things. Score, pass, play defense, rebound. And as you mentioned, she took tickets earlier as well.
And especially for our viewers watching in Chicago tonight who might not be aware of it, but last year on senior night, Maya Moore, along with her teammate Kylie McLaren, sang the national anthem, and they did it.
Right.
They did it quite well. She also was a academic All-America a year ago. They only select 5 in the country for that honor, and she's one of the 5.
And what does she have now? Only about a 3.7?
3.7, I believe. She's a candidate for a Rhodes Scholarship, which will, if it comes about, will result in a real tough decision for her to pursue that and put her professional basketball career on hold. Of course, she still has 1 more year here at UConn. I think there's a pretty good chance she might be on that 2012 Olympic team.
You know the game has changed when Brian Gumbel gives her a shout out on his Real Sports Show.
There's the steal by Moore. Charles up created. Dixon pushes the pace, takes it all the way to the rim, and the foul.
That's how Lauren Dixon can change the game. With her speed with the basketball, the outlet pass, and then she just takes off, and there's no way that Hampton can stay with her.
Second foul on Hampton, and 5 on the team. Gino Auriemma says about his diminutive guard Dixon, she's a game changer with speed and quickness. She needs to understand exactly what she can do in half court to help the team. But on the open floor, Megan, she really makes UConn a better team, adds a different element.
Yeah, and that play was a prime example to that fact.
UConn has opened up a 12-point lead, 7 minutes gone. Huskies have won the last 6 meetings with DePaul. DePaul won the first meeting back in 1983 and has not beaten the Huskies since. Quigley knocked away by Hayes. Shot clock down to 4. Deep 3 by Quigley. Managed to hit the rim. And then Chester sends Gino Auriemma into Shea Ralph's lap. Gino gets up pointing. Isn't that our ball?
Well, I was worried about Tiffany Hayes, the way she went flying out of bounds. Quite a collision. Great hustle by everybody here.
See, you got to have your head on a swivel, Coach.
Felicia Chester with the hustle through Tiffany Hayes, and then that collision prompted her to knock over the Hall of Fame coach.
Farris with the miss.
Nice box out by the freshman Catherine Mary, who's getting such great minutes as a rookie.
Juergens with the ball. I'd like to welcome those viewers watching tonight in Chicagoland on Lakeshore Public Television. I'm Bob Picozzi along with Megan Kumo. We've played 8 minutes and the #1 team in the country with a 62-game winning streak. UConn leads DePaul 21-9. Harry with the miss. Rebound, last touch by Charles. And a fresh shot clock.
That shot by Harry was a freshman shot. She's not used to the kind of defense that Tina Charles is playing on her. And she'll work on that, and Bruno and his staff will work on that with her. She'll shoot that differently in the years to come.
Quickly down low, it goes to Harry, draws the double team. Sets out to Quigley. Doug Bruno says of Harry, she's building her identity as a college player. She's a great rebounder, but right now on offense, she's more of a putback post player. What do you mean by that?
Well, she's going to put back offensive rebounds because the offensive skill set's not quite there, and we saw that with the previous shot.
Moore with the steal, hangs in the air and kisses it off the glass. Quickly the other way, it's Juergens getting right back.
Nice job by DePaul to exploit UConn's defense getting back in transition.
First 2 points for Juergens, who played her first 2 years crosstown at Loyola of Chicago. Doty looking inside. Instead, they reverse it to Dixon. Drives, sets up Doty. Missed the layup.
She was almost too open in there.
Harry rebound quickly the other way. Quigley blocked by Doty, but a foul is called. #1 on her, and #2 on the Huskies. Maya Moore, already a 2-time Big East Player of the Year and a National Player of the Year. She's got 5 points tonight.
Watch the dramatic events unfold in a new CPTV documentary, The Blizzard of '78. Witness rarely seen film footage and hear firsthand accounts of the storm that brought 70-mile-an-hour winds and 16-foot snowdrifts. Saturday at 7:30 following the St. John's game. Made possible by the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, companions and homemakers.
Well, we sort of had a blizzard of 2009 both here in Chicago yesterday and back home in Connecticut today. Understand that classes at UConn were called off.
Yeah,
Campus was shut down. Not only
a lot of things were canceled, but I don't know if the hype for the storm, I think, was a little bit bigger than the storm itself, at least in Hartford, just a couple inches.
Well, don't.
From what I'm told.
Don't say that too loudly because it hasn't stopped snowing yet. We got to get on an airplane and go back there tomorrow.
Oh, tell me about it.
Somehow Megan managed to fly here through the storm yesterday. But of course, the folks here in Chicago are used to it.
Absolutely. This is a way of life.
Same applies, of course, for our producer, Lori Mancini, our director, Sean Jensen, who risked life and limb to come from Providence yesterday. Maya Moore will earn a trip to the free throw line. Moore became the first freshman ever to win the Big East Player of the Year award 2 years ago, then won it again last year as a sophomore. And she is already a two-time Associated Press first-team All-America. I think there's a pretty good chance you might find herself on that team for a third straight year this year.
You think?
I'm going to go out on a limb. This is the free throw.
Yeah,
Doesn't miss
rare
many
miss. Yeah, rare miss from the line.
She is fourth in the Big East in free throw shooting at 83.3%. Dixon departs and Hayes comes back in.
A great atmosphere inside McGrath Arena. Full house.
Moore missing both free throws. Rebound pulled down by Chester. And here comes Quigley. He's one of the best free throw shooters in DePaul history at 79%. Blue Demons lead the Big East in free throw shooting percentage. Quigley around the screen.
How about the way she turned?
Yeah, how about the screen set by Harry?
That's just great fundamental basketball.
Lovey Smith's going to recruit her for his team after that block. Moore changed directions, but Harry would have none of it.
Nice defense by DePaul.
Ball down 8 with a chance to inch closer. Again coming around the screen, but this time I think Chester's going to get nailed for setting the screen. No, they called it on Harry setting the screen.
Yeah, nice screen. I like the way she made that pivot to open herself up for that shot.
Well, unfortunately for DePaul, next time down, Harry called for a foul on setting the screen, and it's her second.
Wow.
And 7 on DePaul.
Second big guy for DePaul to get her second foul.
Moore shoots over Pikes.
That's become a part of Maya Moore's game that is making her just even more difficult to defend. That step back move in that low post area.
Moore now with 7 points. Martin back in number 5, the runner in the lane. Rebound pulled down by Charles. And here's Doty looking for something in transition. Doty will hoist the 3, air ball. Rebound on a hop to Chester.
Part of her development now, Caroline Doty, is to not get down after missing that shot. Make something happen on the defensive end, as Kelly Farris just did.
And took it all the way down for the layup. Farris playing back in her native Midwest. She's from Plainfield, Indiana, freshman out of Heritage Christian High School. And has been very impressive as a freshman. He's UConn's most productive player off the bench this season. Down low, Chester. Good catch and shoot.
Quick mini hook.
She's got 6. Doug Bruno thinks that Chester is a little too unselfish at the offensive end of the floor. Charles with the miss, and Chester pulls down her 6th rebound of the night. Pass out of bounds. Quigley says UConn touched it, but Laura Morris says,
No, I think she just threw an errant pass and it went out of bounds. You know, Bruno is questioning it.
Is that how you would describe that?
I thought that was most articulate way on the air to say it.
UConn outscoring DePaul off turnovers 13-love. Charles down low, Green head fake over Hampton. He's back in despite the 2 fouls.
Another tough move inside by Kalena Green.
Doug Bruno was saying how
nice play by Doty to make something happen.
Farris stuck her hand in. Missed the shot. Last touch by DePaul, and it will stay at the UConn end of the floor when we come back. DePaul trying to get to the NCAA tournament for an 8th straight year. They trail 12. Last time UConn was here was March 1st, 2008. And it was one of the most exciting finishes in recent UConn history. Huskies trailed by 17. Maya Moore ties it with 1:48 to go. Then at the other end of the floor, DePaul regains the lead by 2. Down by 2, Renee Montgomery fouled shooting a 3. She shoots 3. She missed 2 of them. UConn still down 1, and the ball slapped around. Missy Mitadero dribbling to end the game. But look at Maya Moore. Runs her down, steals it, timeout. And with 2.6 seconds left, Keisha Soigné goes coast to coast, lays it in. DePaul time for one more shot, and Taylor Pikes had a terrific look, but it did not drop. And UConn, down 17 in the second half, escape with a 1-point victory.
I mean, to think that they came back from 17 points in a hostile environment. Unbelievable win for Gino's team. And Bruno was joking last night how
he's still not over it.
Yeah, he really had, and he joked with Gino all summer that Pikes was fouled at the end.
Doty with the layup out of the timeout.
Yeah, because you don't, we talk so much about UConn's domination. You don't get opportunities. And Doug, I know him. He's a coach, and he's a diehard coach, and he feels, they let that one get away.
And on top of everything else, it was senior night for the team. Juergens knocks down the 3, and she has struggled from behind the arc this year, shooting only 16.7%.
Yeah, that's only her 4th 3 on the season.
Hayes with UConn up 11, went all the way to the rim. Rebound Quigley. Looking ahead, Jester. Ooh, right idea, but did not accurately get the ball into the hands of Hampton.
This DePaul team is so well coached, and this is such a young team. We talk about no seniors. They start a couple freshmen, juniors, and they're in this game.
They turned the ball over 11 times in the first 13 minutes.
And they're only down 11.
Green drives, no good. Rebound batted around, comes to Farris. Rebound Charles, still no good. Oh my goodness, Green got pushed in the back on that rebound. No call. Quigley the other way with the jumper, it's good.
She is so tough. I just love the way Quigley leads this team.
Chip off the old block, isn't she? Just like her older sister,
That's
Allie.
right.
Tough as nails. Sam was an all-state player in volleyball. Also a Joliet Catholic, as Kalena Green hits the jumper.
She's the unsung hero of this team. Not that she's that unsung anymore, but Kalena Green always makes the right play at the right time when they really need it.
Probably UConn's most improved player this year.
Yeah.
Hampton spins and is called for DePaul's 12th turnover. Substitution, Maya Moore back in for Farris. Doug Bruno was saying it's easy to understand why Kalena Green has improved. He said, big difference between your first year post-op after a torn ACL injury and your second year. She's another year further removed, and she's regained much of that quickness she lost.
And it's on the back end of her career. So, a little miscommunication. Right idea. Doty just didn't go for the layup. Maya Moore thought she was going to go.
Turnover number 4 for UConn. Quigley will walk it up inside the 6-minute mark. Ball 16-8, 5-5 in the Big East. They've won 3 of their last 4. The lone loss in that run to Providence, coming off a 4-point win over Villanova last Saturday.
They've just been very inconsistent this year, and that's largely due to their youth.
Shot clock inside 10. Hampton over Charles.
But I mean, that shot alone by Hampton, the way DePaul ran their offense, they're getting the shots they want. You can tell they're a team that has a purpose, and they know what they're doing, even though they're young. 7
points for Hampton. Green, good move to the middle through the double
away
team.
with a charge there.
Doty with the miss. Charles stripped by Juergens, and then hammered by Juergens, but it didn't matter.
That's a big turnaround. for Doug Bruno's team. I mean, they had the opportunity. There could have been a charge call on Kalina Green. I think it was a legit charge. Missed there. A lot of opportunity here.
First foul on Juergens, 8 on the team. Doug Bruno discussing the call with the lead official, Mark Zentz.
You know, you need some help. You need that call. Bruno needs that call to go his way. That way, it's not the 3 points. That's potential 6-point swing if DePaul had gone down and hit a 3 the other end.
So Charles with 9. And the lead is back up to 12. Big swing there. Quigley up high. Chester set the screen and hand it off to Quigley. Gets it back. Boy, she's got a nice touch.
She sure does. I love her stroke. For 6'3", the kid's got range. Let's take.
And Hayes takes it right to the rim. That is when Hayes is at her best, when she takes the ball to the basket.
And I've been marveling all year, probably to a nauseating degree, just how people let her go left.
Well, it should be in the scouting report. She's left-handed. Chester with the miss. Rebound pulled down by Dixon at 5'4". Pushes the pace, gives to Green. Lost the handle, gets it back. Then off Moore's knee, cross court. It's almost as if UConn's trying their best to turn the ball over on this possession, but they haven't succeeded yet. Well, they finally did.
Now that was a bizarre call.
Called the foul on Charles. A charge. Her first, 3 on the team.
I mean, that was a hideous call. I don't think she fouled her.
Nope.
And I don't think it was a foul on DePaul either, but it wasn't a foul on Tina.
It was a play on. Chester might have some blood on her shorts, on her knee. So they will quickly bandage it up so she can stay in the game. Next up for DePaul will be Notre Dame. Doug Bruno's team playing in back-to-back games. #1 UConn and #3 Notre Dame. That will be Sunday afternoon in South Bend. It will be a 2 o'clock Eastern time start. And then 5 days off before visiting Marquette. Doug Bruno says he knows we need to get a few more wins. They have quite a streak on the line, a streak of 7 straight NCAA tournament appearances. Quigley, low block Hampton, backs in on Green, shoots over her in the foul.
I'll tell you, this kid has impressed me. Keisha Hampton at 6'2".
First on Green for the team. Hampton will try to complete the 3-point play when we come back. She's already got 9. DePaul pulls within 10. It's 10-point UConn lead, and Megan Keisha Hampton was a preseason All-Big East performer. Doug Bruno feels that she's had an inconsistent season. She's had a great first half.
Well, how about that physical move? The sophomore gets bumped but creates some space, fading away, gets the nice home roll. She's shooting 42% from the floor. The kid can play any position on the floor, and you know, she went to the under-19 USA training camp this past summer. This kid's got a huge upside.
Made the Big East All-Freshman team a year ago, and DePaul needs to lean more heavily on her because of the injury early in the year, which ended the season for Deirdre Norton,
nice
who
cut.
clearly was DePaul's best player. Hayes with the basket and the foul, and gets up very slowly.
I didn't see her get whacked. I was just favoring that ankle again.
Foul on
She's trying
Taylor
to shake
Spike.
it off. That left ankle, you see, she's got the braces on there. I think the left one was the ankle that she hurt in that Vermont game before the Notre Dame contest. Good Maya Moore. Are you kidding?
Kept it alive. That last foul on Pike's her second, 9 of the Blue Demons, and then Moore keeps the possession alive by rebounding the missed free throw. Charles spins and shoots. You think that's the shot that Gino Auriemma wants from the 6'4" center?
No, as you see him shaking his head and waving his hands, no, not at all.
Martin with the miss and a foul on Chester, reaching in for the rebound. That will be her second. So 2 each on Hampton, Chester, and Harry, and 10 on the team. So UConn will shoot 2 free throws the rest of the half. And Moore will be first. Doug Bruno had a chance to coach Maya Moore on a USA basketball team 2 summers ago, where one of Maya's teammates was Tina Charles. The assistant coach was Hartford coach Jen Rosati. By the way, their Hawks cracked the top 25 this week for the first time in school history, ranked number 25. They went up and won last night at Maine.
Yeah, Jen's doing a great job.
There's Jen Rosati, one of the great players in UConn history, was on that first national championship team. With those free throws, Maya Moore has just moved ahead of Svetlana Abrosimova into 8th place on the UConn career scoring list with 1,859 points. Shot no good by Chester. Here's Dixon. 2-on-2 has Moore to the left. Flares, gives to Green. Charles set the screen, and Green went right around. Timeout, Doug Bruno. Terrific execution on that offensive possession for UConn.
And I thought Green did a nice job of avoiding a charge call. As you see her coming around the screen, and Tina went to the basket. You know, DePaul has to do a better job, and that's their youth. They got to do a better job of stepping up sooner, as we see a lot of Connecticut fans once again in the crowd. But DePaul's got to step up and take that charge. There was a golden opportunity to have that weak side help come over, but you got to be more aggressive and get there before she gets to the rim.
Now Harry was guarding Charles, who set the screen, and she rolled backwards with Charles, and Green was all by herself. What should have Harry done differently?
Well, she's got to communicate with her teammate, let her teammate get through the screen, because really Tina Charles split to the basket before she set that screen. If you got to communicate, you either got to go with the ball or you got to make sure your teammate gets through. But you got to talk, and it's the post player's job because they see it and it's their guy setting the screen.
Nebraska by 7. That's important because Nebraska is the only other undefeated team in the country. Ranked 4th, Nebraska and UConn, the only 2 without a loss. Quigley, and a foul called on Kalena Green. That will be her second and 5 on UConn. So side out for DePaul with 2:35 remaining in the half as Juergens replaces Pikes. And back in Kelly Farris. We mentioned the storm. Because of the storm, this game, Louisville-St. John's, originally scheduled for tonight, but they decided yesterday to move it up to a 2 o'clock Eastern time start. So St. John's won it. Red Storm ranked 24th in the country, and that will be UConn's next opponent, Saturday, Gamble Pavilion, 5 o'clock Eastern time here on CPTV.
Yeah, St. John's scoring a lot of points.
Harry called for the travel, and before the St. John's game on Saturday, Tina Charles will become only the second active player in UConn history who was inducted into the Huskies of Honor. Mae Montgomery was the first a year ago. It is the final game of the season at Gamble Pavilion, which is hard to believe, Megan. Where'd the season go?
I know. I can't believe it's the last game at Gamble. And they're going to do senior night, or it'll be in a day in this case, at the Civic Center, first time ever against Georgetown.
Down low, Charles with the miss. The rebound is pulled down by Martin, and then Farris compounds it by fouling her about 85 feet from the DePaul basket.
Tina Charles a little bit out of sync tonight. You know, I'd say this is the first time she's been in a bit of a funk.
So it will go back to DePaul as Hampton brings it out of the backcourt, guarded by Moore. On the left quickly, nearly lost it and tried to save it, and I think it went off of Charles's jaw. And she's asking if she's okay. She certainly didn't mean to hit her in the jaw, but she did try to hit it off her and go out of bounds.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kylie McLaren will re-enter for UConn. Take a look.
Nice hustle, and then she said, oh, whoa.
Right in the chops.
And a classy move. Quigley went over to see if she's okay.
Looks like Cassius Clay and Sonny Lisson, their second fight in Maine. Down low, Moore tried to save, could not, and then commits the reach-in foul. Her second, 7 on UConn, so we'll walk down the other end of the floor.
Those are the mental kind of, I'll call them mistakes, or at least that tells you the mindset. You can see how frustrated he is. When you commit the turnover and then you compound that error by committing a foul, that just adds insult to injury.
To the free throw line will go Juergens. His first season here at DePaul at Bishop McNamara High School in Illinois. She scored 2,093 points.
I'm going to find out the deal with the goggles. The shades. Haven't seen that before. I'm going to find out what the scoop is there.
Maybe she's copying Jim McMahon. Remember, he wore those.
Well, then maybe she would be barefoot as well.
Moore. Up high, McLaren. Leads for Hayes.
Nice take.
That was interesting. She got a step on Quigley. Harry tried to help out, wound up bumping into Quigley, and neither one of them could catch up.
Tiffany Hayes extremely explosive getting to the basket.
Martin calls the timeout to avoid the held ball with 1:01 remaining and a 46-30 Huskies lead. UConn looking for a 63rd straight win. The record is 70, and Doug Bruno is just a little exercise there.
I don't know how they can hear him because his voice is shot.
Look at the big crowd. It's the first of UConn's 3 visits to the McGrath Arena on a weeknight. Doug Bruno, as we mentioned, coached Maya Moore with USA Basketball. He's coached against her in the Big East now for the 3rd year. There is no bigger fan in the country of Maya Moore than DePaul coach Doug Bruno.
Maya Moore has the intangibles of some of the great athletes in the history of sport, not just basketball. I think her innards remind me of Bill Russell. They remind me of Michael Jordan. The innards that are just kind of inexplicably special for an athlete.
And that's some high praise.
Yeah, I mean,
Doug Bruno obviously is, as a Chicago native, is a huge Jordan fan, but he also, in talking to me the other day, there's no one in basketball history he admires more than Bill Russell. Down low, Harry lays it up in a nice feed from Martin. And he stressed the intangibles, and we showed you the highlights of UConn's last trip here 2 years ago. They won the game because of Maya Moore's intangibles. She had the presence of mind to run down the DePaul player from behind, steal the ball, then call timeout, which set up the game-winning basket by Keisha Soigné. But Moore's the reason they won that game. She might be the reason they win this one, too.
She's a big reason how they've won a lot of games, particularly the current streak of 60.
And with that 3, Maya Moore passes Jen Rosati and Sue Bird and moves into 6th place on the career 3-point list. That was her 208th. And remember, she's only a junior. 6 seconds left. Hayes. Shot clock obviously off. Hayes launches it. Oh my goodness. Gino Auriemma is scratching his head. I'm not sure he thought that was necessarily the wisest way to handle the clock situation. But Hayes looked at the clock and said, well, I better let this one go. And nothing but net. Tiffany Hayes has given UConn a big, fat 20-point lead at the half. The Huskies trying to extend their Big East winning streak to a 42nd consecutive game. Their road winning streak to 24. They lead at 52-32.
How we doing? I can't hear her. Go. Back here at halftime, UConn with a 20-point lead. CD, it seems 20 point.
Oh, okay.
I can add a little bit. It seems that your guards they step up at different times, and this first half is Tiffany Hayes.
Well, we thought we had an advantage with her being able to put the ball on the floor, and she did that, and that was great. Caroline struggled a little bit shooting, but our offense, we scored 52 points, and we didn't think we played well offensively. Our defense, they made a lot of shots. I don't mind if they make them if we're contesting them, but it'll be an interesting second half.
Well, yeah, DePaul's scrappy and well coached.
They are, and they take shots that they don't care. They'll take they'll come right down. They don't care how many they miss. They think they're going to make the next one. So it'll be an up and down game.
All right, good luck second half.
Back to you, Bob.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. UConn scoring 50 points in the first half for the 11th time this season. Let us take a look at first half highlights. And we will begin with a look at DePaul's senior and leader, Sam Quigley, with the pull-up jump. She had a big first half for Keisha Hampton. And Hampton knocks down the shot. She had 9 points on 3 of 7 shooting. But the biggest half of all was Tiffany Hayes. She drives for 2 more, and then her 3 at the halftime buzzer, giving her 16 first-half points. And she scored those 16 on 6 of 8 shooting, 2 of 3 from three-point range. As we take a look at the halftime statistics, UConn hammering DePaul in the lane 26-10, and points off turnover 17-6. And Megan, those 14 turnovers for the Blue Demons really killed them in the first half.
Yeah, you got to take care of the basketball, especially against the #1 team in the country. They will make you pay.
We'd like to welcome those of you who are watching tonight's game in Chicagoland on Lakeshore Public Television. Glad you joined us. And to our viewers back in Connecticut on Connecticut Public Television, there's a look at Maya Moore, who in the first half moved into 10th place in the UConn career rebounding list, ahead of Svetlana Abrosimova. Also moved ahead of Abrosimova on the career scoring list into 8th place, and moved ahead of Jen Rosati and Sue Bird on the career 3-point field goal list into 6th place. Pass inside intended for Chester. Turnover number 15 for DePaul.
You know, we talked about the turnovers that DePaul has had. UConn's got 17 points off those turnovers. That's the game right there. It's a 20-point game.
Jennifer Juergens starting the second half for the Blue Demons instead of Anna Martin. Hayes for 3. She's got 19 points.
She is on fire.
Left side, Harry. Up top comes to Quigley. Cross court, Juergens guarded by Doty. To Quigley on the left, low block, Harry. Spins and shoots over Charles, and Chester called for her 3rd foul. She pushed Moore right in the back on the rebound. First team foul on DePaul here in the second half. And that's trouble, because Chester and Quigley are clearly DePaul's 2 most important players. Hayes looking inside, finds Moore. Head fake, dumped it into Charles.
Unbelievable pass by Maya Moore.
Her 90th assist of the year, and then Doty hammers Hampton instead of just giving her the easy basket. Number 2 on her, number 1 on UConn this half. But Moore, Doug Bruno talked about those instincts.
Well, and then look at that pass. I mean, you want to talk about threading the needle.
See the way she drew the defense to her and then dumped it off. Nikki Hayes Fort, Doug's longtime assistant, discussing the situation with Juergens.
And you know, I talked to a couple people at halftime as to why Juergens is wearing the shades, and no one seems to know why. It's the first time she's ever worn them.
Hampton had 9 first half points for DePaul. DePaul was ranked in the top 25 in the country 3 times in the first 4 weeks, but has not been ranked since November 29th. Blue Demons have never beaten a number 1 ranked team in the country. Down low Charles, and that will be foul number 3 on Harry, and 2 on DePaul this half. And
Charles just pounding the ball on the floor because she knows she should have made that shot. Even though she was fouled, she's the caliber player, and the way she has played all year, you got to come away with 3.
Charles having a monster senior year. Has been named the Big East Player of the Week 4 times, including 3 weeks in a row. The Associated Press preseason All-America team only has 5 players on it, and 2 of them are UConn players, Charles and Moore. They certainly would appear to be the 2 leading candidates for the National Player of the Year award. Moore won it last year as a sophomore.
And let's not forget about Kelsey Griffin in the year she's having at Nebraska. They're the only other undefeated team.
Keep our eye on that score. We saw them winning in the first half tonight at Kansas. Of course, talk about Kansas. The athletic director there is former UConn athletic director Lou Perkins. Chester, Kansas, the number 1 ranked men's team in the country.
And don't forget Tamika Williams, an assistant on Bonnie Hendrickson's staff. They also have Andrea Hootie.
Nebraska now up by 10 at the half at Kansas. Hayes for another 3.
Hootie was a former strength coach at UConn who went with Lou to Kansas.
Rebound pulled down Chester, and here's Quigley. 2 minutes gone, second half. DePaul's been dominant over the years in this building, 116 and 20. The block shot, but Charles cannot save. 15 to shoot for DePaul.
She blocked that with her forearm.
She is third in UConn history in block shots. That was her 252nd.
She came out, nice help defense. Oh, it was with the hand, but it was with authority.
Shot clock inside 10. Quigley probing the defense. Hayes doing a good job of staying in front of her. Clock down to 3. Quigley launches it. It won't get anywhere near the rim, and it's a shot clock violation.
Tremendous defense by Tiffany Hayes.
16th turnover for DePaul, who has now gone scoreless in the first after the last 4 possessions.
Well, UConn has stepped it up a bit defensively here in the second half.
Perhaps the biggest difference between last year's undefeated team and this year's undefeated team for UConn is how much better they are defensively. Charles saved it and is rewarded by Hayes.
Great hustle by Charles and Maya Moore to keep the ball alive.
And Doug Bruno will call time as UConn has opened up the lead to 28 points. Back in Chicago, where UConn has opened up a 28-point lead over DePaul. The Huskies, in addition to everything else, out hustling DePaul on that last play. Good hustle by the All-American Charles.
And that's what separates them. I mean, they got a 28-point lead, and check out the All-American flying out of bounds to save it to Maya, who then saved it. Look at the great pass there from Tiffany Hayes to Tina Charles, who came back into the play and didn't just stand out there. You know, a lot of times kids observe, you know, they hustle like that, and they turn back to see what their teammates do. You got to get back in the play. Nice job by Tina Charles.
Thought she was going to visit Sheffield Avenue there for a minute.
She almost went out the door.
Runs right in front of McGrath Arena, of course. Also runs right by Wrigley Field. Not too far from here. Down low Chester, head fake. Charles did a good job of making that as difficult a shot as it could be. Martin tried to save, but it wound up in Doty's hands. Doty on the weave to Moore. Left side Hayes. Around the Charles screen. Gets a little daylight. Let's see, what's Wesley Dean?
It's a charge.
Yep, it's going to be a charge.
Yeah, he deferred to the other official to make the call. But how about, this is pretty scary, the company he's in.
Well, of course, John Wooden's 10 national championships are far and away. They're twice as many as the next guy. Adolph Rupp won 5. Gino's won 6. Pat Summitt's won 8. But UConn is, as Green lays it up and in to make it a 30-point lead. If UConn breaks their own record, their own NCAA record of 70 consecutive wins, and tonight will be the 63rd straight unless they blow a 30-point lead. Next on the list would be the 88-game streak by the UCLA men back in the early 70s. And of course, the legendary John Wooden behind the bench. Chester with the jump hook.
Well, the thing that I have been thinking about is everyone talks about, oh, UConn, they're too good, they're too dominant, it's not good for the game. Well, how about let's appreciate how great they are and how they're playing. Were people saying that about UCLA in the middle of their 88-game streak? You know, you don't want to appreciate them post. You know, you want to enjoy them while they're doing it, not 20 years down the road.
Charles made the shot. Now, one difference between the two is UCLA wasn't beating teams by 40 back then.
Right.
Certainly, without question, there was more parity in men's college basketball in the 70s than there is between UConn and whomever is the next best team in the country. I think it happens to be Stanford. But never has the gap appeared to be as wide between the best team in the country and the second best than it is this year. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're going to go to break with UConn with a big lead.
UConn shooting 57% and leading DePaul by 30. It's the final game of the evening in the Big East. Earlier, this was an afternoon game. They moved it up because of the snowstorm. St. John's hammering Louisville. Georgetown winning at Pittsburgh. And Rutgers beating Seton Hall. C. Vivian Stringer did not coach tonight. We'll get to that in a moment. So these are the updated standings. Georgetown with the win for the moment moves within a game of UConn. But when UConn wins, of course, they'll restore that game-and-a-half lead. There's the bottom half of the bracket. Rutgers athletic director Tim Pernetti yesterday suspended Coach C. Vivian Stringer for 1 game for the misuse of practice players. Evidently, one or more of the male practice players, which just about every women's college basketball team uses in practice, because The men, in many cases, are bigger and stronger, and it affords more competition on the practice floor. But evidently, at least one of them was not enrolled as a student. So Vivian Stringer suspended for tonight's game, and Carlene Mitchell coached the Scarlet Knights. A little shocking when we saw that come yesterday. There's a hold called on the perimeter on Quigley. It will be her first. And 3 on DePaul here in the second half. Of course, Gino Auriemma and C. Vivian Stringer are the only 2 current Big East women's basketball coaches who have been inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Stringer went in last year in the Michael Jordan class.
Yeah, what a class to go in there. That ball, I thought that was knocked off of Harry's hands. And that's a bad call. I mean, Gino has a very legitimate gripe there.
It's a nice tie, huh?
How about that tie?
One and done.
That's for the WBCA K-Yao Fund. You can go on eBay. You have a week. I think it'll get auctioned off, the proceeds to benefit the WBCA and the K-Yao Cancer Fund.
Chester hits the shot. Hayes at the other end had it knocked out of bounds. Last touch by DePaul, 23 to shoot. Gino is going to do that with each tie that he wears for the remaining games of the regular season. This is the 3rd game that he's done it.
Yeah, he's doing it in the month of February, right?
And of course, this is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and each school has its own day. At UConn, it will be this Saturday for the St. John's game.
Yeah, the final 9 games of the regular season he's doing it.
And DePaul will be playing at Notre Dame Sunday. That will be part of the Breast Cancer Awareness Day.
Yep, the Pink Zone campaign. UConn's uniform from that game on Saturday against St. John's will also be auctioned off. So go on to eBay and check it out.
Back to a cut. Farris to Green, but Hampton said, get that out of here. Take another look.
Nice. I mean, great pass, great backdoor cut, but look at that. Get out of here.
Whistle blows so Quigley can retire Sneaker. Now, I imagine Doug Bruno at some point will have a little conversation with Hampton. We mentioned how much he likes Bill Russell, and he will point out to her, Bill Russell would have blocked the underside of that ball, and he would have jumped the second time, and it would have been our ball instead of hammering it over the baseline as McLaren hits the shot.
A sweet shot by McLaren.
Quigley cross court to Juergens for 3. How about that? 17% three-point shooter, and she's knocked down 2 of them tonight.
Chris Daly made mention of that before we went on camera there at halftime. She said, you know, the kid hasn't shot well, and of course, she's an All-American against us.
She's got 10. It's her 8th double-figure scoring game, but only her 2nd in the last 18 games. McLaren down low. Look at the footwork.
Kylie McLaren showing it from outside and inside. Gets the starters on the bench up in elation on the bench. I mean, how about that? The up and under and go through.
And the 4th foul on Harry. And 4 on DePaul this half. So McLaren will go to the line. She, of course, will be, you mentioned Senior Day, which will be the Georgetown game, which, by the way, could take on incredible significance if the Hoyas continue to win with their win tonight. They're 9-1 in the Big East. That will be on February 20. When is that? February 27th.
Yep.
And McLaren will be one of the seniors on it for that one.
And there has been Senior Day or Senior Night at the Civic Center in the past. I thought this was the first time. One other time it happened.
This is what lies ahead for UConn. St. John's, Saturday, 5 o'clock on CPTV. The Oklahoma game will be nationally televised. We'll have the Providence, Syracuse, and Georgetown games for you on CPTV, and then a return game with Notre Dame. Last game of the regular season, except this one will be in South Bend. McLaren down low to Charles. McLaren gets it back. Down low to Charles again. Missed with the left, got her own rebound.
And unfortunately, Kylie McLaren didn't get the assist. She very unselfishly had the shot fake. Could have taken the shot, but she unselfishly dished it, but Charles missed it, but got her own rebound and put it in.
Charles with 19. She is the 5th leading scorer in the Big East. High post, Chester to Quigley for the pull-up. Doug Bruno loves his senior guard Sam Quigley, saying she's special because of her willingness to adapt. She puts us into position to win games we have no business winning. Out of bounds. I mentioned that Quigley's a senior. She's actually a junior. This is her 4th year. She lost a year because of a torn ACL 2 years ago.
I mean, they just have had so many bad injuries on this team.
They've had a lot of torn ACLs this year.
Yeah.
Naughton. Moore was pushed away from the play.
Yeah, that's going to be on Chester. No, they're not giving it to Chester. I thought she pushed her.
I think on Juergens maybe. If so, it's her second. And 5 on the team. Number 33, Maureen Mulcrone, is checked in for DePaul. Moore to Green for the pull-up. Rebound went off the far head of Quigley into the hands of Hampton. Juergens. There's Mulcrone. It's a local product out of Marist High School. And DePaul stepped on the sideline, and it will go the other way. UConn trying to make it 7 straight wins over DePaul in this series.
CTSN, the Connecticut Sports Network, is your home for local high school and college sports, including broadcasts of the CIAC state championships and live University of Hartford basketball games. Channel assignments and programming information are available at ctsn.tv. CTSN can be seen only on Comcast and Cox cable systems. That's ctsn.tv.
UConn 72, DePaul 44. There's a look at Sam Quigley out of Joliet Catholic High School. She was named the Chicago Female Athlete of the Year by the Chicago Sun-Times her senior year in high school.
You think about all the great athletes in Chicago to be named that. It's an incredible honor.
Rebound, the smallest player on the floor, Lauren Dixon. Up the floor to Mulcrone, and Moore stepped in front. Looked like a free safety there. Didn't intercept it cleanly, but her team's got it back. Here's Farris. What do you think would be Maya Moore's best position if she played football, maybe?
Oh man, she could do anything. She'd be a great safety. I think she'd be, gosh,
pretty good wide receiver, too.
Great wide receiver, great hands.
Chester, hands that nearly hit Dixon in the head. I think she forgot she's only 5'4". But Dixon will earn a trip to the free throw line. Foul's going to be called on Martin.
I put her at quarterback too.
Well, it's a lot like she is on the basketball court. She can play multiple positions, and of course, you know, UConn's going to get hit very hard by graduation with the loss of Charles, who could be the National Player of the Year. Certainly figures to be a first-team All-American. And they also will lose Kalena Green as a 5th-year senior. And they'll lose some other contributing players like Kylie McLaren and Megan Gardler, Jackie Fernandez. But Charles, who figures to graduate as the leading scorer and leading rebounder in UConn history, so there will be more of a burden on Moore than ever before next year. And it should be interesting to see how the Gina Auriemma utilizes her and how her role may change next year. It figures to change.
And you have to hope that Heather Buck, she needs to improve.
Backdoor cut. Farris blocked the shot by Martin. Of course, help is on the way. UConn has signed 5 high school seniors, one of them a local product, Michaela Johnson from Lombard, Illinois, who just underwent surgery to repair a torn ACL. So she does not figure to be 100% recovered by the beginning of her freshman year, but she is 6'3" and certainly has a tremendous upside. 2 of the other recruits who have signed, Bria Hartley and Samari Walker, were just named yesterday to play in the WBCA All-Star game. Down low, Farris will draw the foul and will shoot a couple. Look at this. Nebraska losing by 3 at Kansas. Again, the significance. The Cornhuskers, along with UConn, the only 2 undefeated teams in the country. And at the line will go Farris. Can't get the first one to fall. Substitution DePaul. Juergens back in, replacing Martin. Last year, DePaul went 23-10. They finished in a tie for 4th in the Big East. Lost in the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament to Pitt, and then lost in the opening round of the NCAA tournament to San Diego State.
But impressively, one of 7 Big East teams that made the tournament.
It was DePaul's 7th straight trip to the NCAA tournament.
Their move to the Big East has benefited them greatly.
A foul will be called on setting the screen on Juergens, her 3rd, and that would be 8 on DePaul this half. So back comes UConn. Huskies are 7-0 against nationally ranked teams, and their next 2 games will be against 24th ranked St. John's on Saturday and 12th ranked Oklahoma on Monday. Moore had it poked away by Hampton, who then gets possession, wants to drive at Farris, and she's called for the charge. And for Hampton, it's her 3rd and 9 on the team.
That's too bad. It was a great defensive play by Keisha Hampton, who then at 6'2" brings the ball the length of the floor. But just a heads-up play by Kelly Farris to step in and take that charge. And you can hear the boos here at McGrath Arena. They don't agree.
DePaul 10-1 in this arena this year, 4-1 in the Big East. Moore drives right down the lane.
And she had stumbled and lost her footing a little bit as she turned the corner, but she recovered nicely.
Got her hand awfully close to the rim there, too. Dixon off the steal. So just like that, 4 quick points. And Doug Bruno will call time. UConn with a 35-point lead over DePaul. Doug Bruno was honored earlier this season when it was announced that this floor is going to be named the Doug Bruno Court here at McGrath Arena.
And he's fighting about that previous foul call, that it was a charge. He's trying to say. And only he could get it. Only he could have that long of a conversation with the official.
Laura Morris, the official.
And not do it in an offensive way. Because he's that nice of a guy. And he's trying to say that was not a charge on my kid.
But a tremendous honor to have this court named after him. And they announced it at a dinner, and they managed to get Doug at the dinner under false pretenses. They told him that he was going to be one of the speakers, so he went. He shows up, and a lot of his family and friends are there. They make the announcement that there was only one purpose of the dinner, and it was announced that McGrath Arena's floor will be called the Doug Bruno Court, and they'll do that next year to celebrate his 25th season as the head coach of DePaul, divided into 2 different tours of duty. This is his alma mater. He played at DePaul under the legendary Ray Meyer.
He is DePaul, Doug Bruno. He is, and there's no greater honor, and there's no greater guy. I mean, he was speechless that night, and anyone who knows this man knows that he's
never speechless.
Never speechless. That's like trying to say Gino Auriemma is speechless.
Well, you just said that Doug Bruno was speechless that night. That would be one more night than Gino.
Yeah, exactly.
Juergens. 2 of them were holding court last night. Gibson Steakhouse on Rush Street. Here's Quigley. Shot clock down to 10. Farris staying in front of him. Juergens spins with 4. The runner in the lane. Nice play.
Take. And, you know, maybe some of that working the officials allowed them to not call that foul right there. Yeah.
12 points for Juergens. 22 Megan Gardler is in for UConn. Down low Farris kick out Gardler for 3. And over the top rebound foul on Green, her 3rd.
Yeah, nice box there by Quigley. A little dramatics. Yep. More than anything. Good no call.
That was a good play on. And here comes Quigley. Next up for DePaul will be Notre Dame. Sunday in South Bend. And a traveling violation.
Yeah, she did. She lifted the pivot foot.
21 Courtney Webb is checked into the lineup for DePaul.
And that's the, you know, you could see the look on Bruno's face. You know, that's the inconsistency, that kind of stuff that's been killing their team. But again, we've said it all game. They're so young.
Yep. Farris to McLaren. Rebound pulled down by Gardler. And a foul is called. Auriemma has emptied his bench with the exception of Green, and you wonder whether we'll see Doty or Hayes or Charles and Moore again. And if we don't, I think that's a direct byproduct of his very close relationship with Doug Bruno.
Yeah, he's, you know, he did that against Cincinnati with Jamel Elliott, their first-year head coach and former player and assistant. You know, with those, you know, with your friends, you know, I think you have a tendency, it's human nature, to sub a little sooner. He may not, you know, I don't know if he'd admit it, but. Well,
Doug Bruno said one of the byproducts of DePaul joining the Big East is that UConn has to play DePaul. He said before that, Gino wasn't interested in playing. He said because I don't think he wanted to play against me, and you know, and beat the bejeebies out of my team. Didn't want to beat his friend's team badly. Green lays it up and in.
Yeah, nice move inside by Kalani Green.
But of course now they're in the league and they do play each other. 2 years ago we talked about the classic game here. They wound up playing again a week later in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. Or no, I'm sorry. That was they played the semifinals of the Big East tournament in 2006. That was the furthest DePaul has ever advanced. Big East. Chester hit the shot. 7:30 remaining. 82-48 Huskies. They did meet DePaul in the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament 2 years ago, so they did play twice in a week. Farris with the miss. Rebound kept alive. Harry and Hampton fought for it, and a reach-in foul will be called on UConn. Huskies well on their way to a 24-0 start. Common theme for UConn is it doesn't matter what the quality of the opponent is. The Huskies win by a lot of points, and there you see it. Their average margin of victory against top 10 teams, 28. Against teams ranked 11 through 25, 21. Unranked teams, 36. Right now, they are leading unranked DePaul by 34, 82-48. That last foul was on Kelly Farris, her second. And
that's just remarkable to me, the way that they dominate their opposition. And again, it's a broken record, but they just play so much harder, and they just have a mentality about themselves this year that they don't worry about the score. They just play the same way all the time, and they make it look easy, and that's really hard to do.
Yep, that's it exactly. They don't play according to the score. I mean, when the game is close, you do, but there haven't been any close ones. All 62 of the wins in this streak have been by double digits. Lauren Dixon with foul number 1 and 6 on the team.
Nice pass inside by Anna Martin. I'd say for a young team, I mean, you can just tell that this DePaul club is well coached. And I'm not saying that because I like Doug Bruno a lot. You can just tell they're a well coached team.
Heather Buck is checked in for UConn, number 21. A shot by Hampton, no good, and there's Buck getting the rebound. Gene Auriemma is saying of Heather Buck, everyone has a different timetable in terms of how they progress. I'm not sure what hers is. I try to give her a few minutes in what he calls non-threatening situations. What does he mean by that?
Well, you know, she can just try to get better where the game doesn't count on or depend on her.
Quigley up and over Farris.
You know, it's not like she has to come in and contribute immediately to make a difference for her team, like the game changer that Lauren Dixon is. But instead, let her come in and develop. And you know, for some kids, it takes a little longer. It's traditionally harder for post players.
Buck gets the pass from Gardner and lays it in. And away from the play, Hampton is down on the floor and in some discomfort and gets up hobbling. Doug Bruno comes out to take a look at the 6'2" sophomore from Philadelphia.
Looks like a right ankle, maybe. So the last thing you want to see is another kid get hurt for DePaul, particularly Hampton. Good to see her seeming to shake it off a bit. They've been decimated by injuries, and Hampton's had a terrific game.
Martin guarded by Green, stolen by Farris, has Green to the right, 2-on-1. Farris waited nicely.
That was that's a kid who's fundamentally sound and made the right pass at the exact right time. She's so advanced for a freshman.
5.5 minutes remaining. Farris out of an outstanding high school program. Her Heritage Christian High School team won state championships all 4 years there. Won 104 and 8, where she had a little bit to do with that. Following the DePaul miss, it's Doty. Gives to Green as we approach the 5-minute mark.
And she's one of the best athletes as well on the UConn team.
Doty with the pull-up.
Nice pass.
Knocks it down.
Nice inside out there by Buck to Doty.
Quigley to Martin. Quigley with the jumper over Doty. She's got a dozen.
And the good news for DePaul is she's only a junior. And she's evolved so much this year into such a great leader for the Blue Demons.
Emma will call timeout for the sole purpose of making a substitution. Fernandez comes in.
Yeah, nice tie. Go on eBay and auction.
Yep. Of course, we mentioned the injuries, and the biggest injury of all was to that young lady, Deirdre Norton, who tore her ACL after she played only 5 games this year, and she was averaging 14 points.
It was a devastating blow. I mean, she was the heart and soul of this team, and it's impressive the way they've bounced back. She will apply for a 5th year to the NCAA, or 6th year, and you don't know whether they'll grant it or not.
Buck to Doty, lost the handle. Buck picks it up and taken away by Quigley, and here's Harry. Doug Bruno is yelling probably something like, "Do you not know you're a center? Why are you dribbling the ball up the floor?" That's why we have guards, and there's one of them.
And again, the coach on the floor does everything for this team, and I don't know if the injuries have made her become that leader, or if it was a natural evolution, but it's been impressive to see.
Quigley hits the 3. Buck carves out position down low. I think it's safe to say that Gina Auriemma would like Buck to become more offensively more aggressive and think shot more.
Yeah, she's got to be more assertive. Yeah, she's just such a big, strong presence in there. She's got to believe it and play that way, and play with a purpose in there.
Scored 2,205 points at Stonington High School, 6th most in Connecticut high school history. Farris with the miss, and then a rare mistake by Farris as he heaved it up the court too far, intended for Doty. Here's Harry.
A rare miss inside by Harry.
So Doty will walk it up the floor. This will be UConn's 132nd straight win against an unranked opponent, as Buck draws the foul inside. Sam Quigley, certainly a candidate for all Big East honors. She has 15, but her team's got some work to do.
Watch the dramatic events unfold in a new CPTV documentary, The Blizzard of '78. Witness rarely seen film footage and hear firsthand accounts of the storm that brought 70-mile-an-hour winds and 16-foot snowdrifts. Saturday at 7:30, following the St. John's game, made possible by the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security and Companions and Homemakers.
Speaking of the St. John's game, we will have it for you at 5 o'clock Saturday on CPTV. And don't forget, before the game, right before the national anthem, they will honor Tina Charles. She will be inducted into the Huskies of Honor.
And I just really like that new trend that Gino started last year with Renee of doing it while the players are still here. It's kind of a different approach to it.
Last year they managed to keep it a secret. They didn't know until they actually did it.
Oh, that's right.
34, Deanna Ortiz is checked in. Can't get the jumper to fall. The putback by Harry, rejected by Buck. Last touch by Gardler. Dixon replacing Doty. So DePaul has it. 27 seconds left in the shot clock. 2:40 remaining in the game. Courtney Webb back in for DePaul. She'll replace Juergens, who departs with 12 points on 4 of 6 shooting. DePaul 1-3 this year against nationally ranked teams. A 1 win against Florida State when the Seminoles were ranked 6th in the country. The offensive put back by Harry.
A smart move by Harry. She pushed Heather Buck under the basket, knowing the ball was going to come opposite from where the shot came, and just nicely put it back up with the left hand.
Only her 3rd and 4th points of the evening, coming off a career high 18 against Villanova. She's had 3 games this year, Megan, where she's had 18 rebounds.
Is that unbelievable for a freshman?
Held ball. Arrow will keep it at UConn's end with 14 seconds left on the shot clock.
She's had double-digit rebounds 9 times this year. For a freshman, that is very impressive.
6th leading rebound in the Big East at 8.6 per game. She's got 5 of them tonight against UConn. Webb comes down with it and will give to Quigley inside the 2-minute mark. Ortiz catch and shoot. Long rebound to Jackie Fernandez. Like Fernandez caught a hand across the face.
Nice ball movement.
For 3, Fernandez in and out. Buck kept the rebound alive, but it winds up in the hands of Webb with 1:30 remaining. DePaul has won 20 games 6 times in the last 7 years. Sitting at 16 now. Reach-in foul will be called on Mulcrone. This is a little silly. Doug Bruno is saying, what are you doing? I mean, 95 feet from the basket.
In front of the ref, you're going to.
Why are we sending him to the foul line?
Snacker?
1:19 to go.
Yeah.
There's a look at Mulcrone, a product out of Marist High School in Chicago. And talk about a family with athletic background. Her dad, John, was an offensive tackle at Illinois. Her mom, Judy, played basketball at Illinois. Her brother, John, was a tight end in New Mexico. Her sister, Maggie, runs track at Illinois. And her grandfather, Tom Cordes, played for the Cubs.
Yeah, and her aunt played volleyball here at DePaul, so.
I ran out of room on my paper for that.
I write really small.
I think small. Ortiz gives to Quigley. Cross court. How did that get through Gardner's hand?
That was
right through the wickets.
Yeah, that's unusual for Megan Gardner, but
Webb winds up with the 3.
Yeah, nice for Webb.
Only a 24% shooter from behind the arc. Final minute. Dixon up high to Buck. On the left, Fernandez. Buck high post. Spins and shoots. That's what Gina Auriemma wants her to do. She gets the ball within firing range.
Yeah, what were those minutes that he said to you? What that you read before?
Non-threatening
situations. You know, these are great confidence builders for Heather Buck. Because they're going to need her next year.
Well, the minutes are there for the taking with the graduation of Charles. Webb with the pull-up in the lane. She's got 5 points off the bench.
Wow.
And that should conclude the scoring for the evening. The shot clock is off, and with UConn up by 33. We won't see them take another shot. So UConn beats DePaul for the 7th straight time in the series. They extend their road winning streak to 24 games. Their Big East winning streak to 42. And they have now won 63 games in a row, just 7 games shy of the NCAA record set by UConn earlier this decade. We'd like to thank those of you who are watching tonight's game in Chicagoland on Lakeshore Public Television. For those in Connecticut, we'll be back to wrap things up after this. For the 2nd consecutive season, UConn has begun with 24 consecutive wins. The Huskies beat DePaul 95-62. I'm Bob Picozzi back at McGrath Arena in Chicago. Gino Auriemma's Huskies extend their winning streak to 63 straight games, and Gino is with Megan Kumo.
Thank you, Bob. All right, Gino, you know, this team, DePaul team, you know, no seniors, a lot of injuries, and they are scrappy and they hang around.
Well, they do, and today it's one of those games where you have to outscore people to make every shot. I mean, I watched them in the first half, and I didn't think they were going to miss the rest of the game. But you know, they do a great job offensively of spreading you around. They make you chase them, and they've got very good standstill shooters. And one of the things we wanted to do going in was don't let them get their feet set and shoot the ball. And man, I'll tell you, it's probably as well as somebody has shot the ball against us in a long, long time.
Well, one thing I noticed in the first half, not only the way Tiffany played, particularly in the first half, but that three-guard rotation, they all seem to step up at a different time. And Tiffany hasn't shot the ball great lately, but tonight she did, particularly the first 20.
She did. And, she was like that in practice the other day, just really attacking the basket, and she did the same thing tonight. And, when she's making the outside shot, she's just such a difficult matchup for anybody because her first step is so quick. And but she didn't know how much time was left in the first half. She should have got a layup. Instead, she makes a 35-footer for three. So I guess it was just going that way for her tonight.
Now, did you consciously sub sooner in the second half because of the score and because Doug Bruno is a friend of yours, or you just did it because of the game?
No, we've been pretty much doing the same thing. I mean, like even Louisville at the 14-minute mark, so it was pretty much the same thing tonight. I didn't change anything, just because of who it was. My guys want to play and they need to play, and it's business as usual. I'll see them after the game, but during the game,
he's the enemy.
Business as usual.
Well, talk about this tie. I know I talked about it during the game. It looks redder up close, but this is going to be auctioned off, right?
Yeah. It's really nice too. Salmon-y, I think. Red salmon. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the color of it is, but it goes great with a black suit, white shirt.
And you got some red salmon-y piping in there,
I got some salmon-y piping. I'm salmon-y all over the place today.
Salmonella.
I'm salmonella.
All right.
I know his brother Bob Manella. Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say to that, Bob.
Well, thank you, Stella McCartney and Joseph Aboud, for joining us on our post-game show. As we take a look at the statistics, UConn just hammering DePaul in the paint, 50-18, really killed the Blue Demons. Points off turnovers, 37-13. Gino Auriemma mentioned that few teams shoot the ball as well against UConn as DePaul did tonight, and indeed the Blue Demons did shoot 46%, but the Huskies shot 56%, and it was simply a case, Megan, of a team that won the game has a lot better players and a lot more talent.
Yeah, they did. They ran away with it, particularly in that second half. But, they had 53 or 50 some odd points at the half, and they didn't think they played very well. And that just tells you how good they are. And even though DePaul, has been decimated by injuries, they're well coached, they shoot the ball well, and they're always going to give you a great fight. And that's what you want in your competition.
Let's take a look at the highlights from tonight's game. 4 UConn players scored in double figures.
Well, and Maya Moore, she does it on both ends of the floor there with the steal and with a nice finish. And Kylie McLaren dishing to Tiffany Hayes, going to her right. But don't worry, she'll finish with that left. And then on the other side, Hampton, who had a terrific game for DePaul before she went out with that ankle injury. And Quigley, their do-everything leader, finishing from long range. And as Gino alluded to, that was just one of those nights for Tiffany Hayes. Had no idea how much time was on the clock, but her teammates love that last-second three at the half.
And she scored 19 points in the ballgame, 16 of them in the first half. Tina Charles also had 19. Maya Moore 14 and 7, and Maya moved into 10th on the career rebounding list ahead of Svetlana Abrosimova. She also moved ahead of Abrosimova into 8th on the all-time scoring list, and she moved ahead of Jen Rosati and Sue Bird into 6th on the career three-point shooting list. Helena Green scored 12 points. UConn shot 56%. For DePaul, leading the way was Quigley with 15, Chester 14 points and 10 rebounds. So with the loss, DePaul slips to 16-9, 5-6 in the Big East. They'll visit third-ranked Notre Dame on Sunday. UConn 24-0, 11-0 in the conference. And the Huskies will host St. John's at Gampel Saturday. You'll see at 5 o'clock on CPTV. For Megan Kumo, I'm Bob Picozzi. Once again, the final, UConn 95 and DePaul 62. The preceding has been a presentation of Connecticut Public Television. Stay tuned for Natural Park, America's Best Idea. So long from Chicago, where UConn beats DePaul by 33.